Be sure to follow my Twitch over at twitch.tv/daltonix. Thank you. With the April 9th update, Bungie is going to be giving us 12 guns that we're going to be able to grind through their new Horde mode, the Onslaught game mode, and that is vastly approaching relatively quickly. So I figured we'd go over some of the guns and what you'd be looking for throughout your grind for PvP purposes. And yeah, let's get into it. Midnight Coup, this is a 140 hand cannon. You got this one back from the Leviathan raid, which isn't even in the game anymore. But it's got some actually pretty stellar perk combos on it. This was typically a PvE gun back in the day, but I think this thing could be a top contender for PvP. Not only does this have the highest aim assist for 140 hand cannons in the game, it's got some pretty crazy perk options. Starting off in the first column, we have Explosive Payload and Moving Target, which are super good. Explosive Payload should be getting fixed in this update, making it so it can 3-tap, which makes it a top contender again for PvP. Moving Target's great for just getting more aim assist. And then in the second column, you're going to have things such as Zen Moment and Opening Shot, which are going to be super, super strong. Imagine Moving Target with a Zen Moment on a hand cannon with absurdly high aim assist. That is super crazy strong. I really look forward to trying this thing out. I think this thing's going to feel great. And I'm glad Bungie brought this one back specifically. It's got some good PvE options as well, which we're not really going to talk about, but I love this hand cannon, and good job, Bungie, for bringing this one back. Jury SR4. I don't know why Bungie's bringing this one back, but hey, it's back for another time. This is like the 4th time it's come back, but it actually has some pretty good perks on it. With the first column, you're going to want Rapid Hit or No Distractions. Both of those are fantastic for this long-range scout. And then for the last column, you're going to want Box Breathing. None of the other perks remotely compare to that. Box Breathing is just by far the best, making it so you can 3-tap people, which is so strong. Being able to down people from these ranges with a scout rifle at 0.67 seconds is stupidly strong. So I really recommend, if you like scout rifle gameplay, you really give this one a shot, because Box Breathing is super easy to proc and it catches people off guard. And anytime trials or you're playing comp on a bigger map, this thing will go crazy. The Blast Furnace is an aggressive pulse rifle, which aka fires in 4 bursts. And this thing is a fan favorite. People love this thing back in the day, and it's understandably why. This thing feels really, really good, and they gave it a really nice perk refresh. So in the first column, you're going to be able to roll Zen Moment and Headseeker or Keep Away, which are all fantastic perks. Really wish one of those would be put in the other column, because if you compare any of those together, oh my god, this thing would be like a laser beam. But in the other column, we do have some good perks as well, such as Kill Clip, Rapid Hit, Desperate Measures. All fantastic perks for this pulse rifle, and this thing should be a monster. Having some of the best consistency perks in the game with Headseeker and Zen Moment or Keep Away, as I said, all of them are fantastic. Personally, I'd probably go with Headseeker on a pulse rifle, and then having some lethality perks with such as Kill Clip and Desperate Measures is super, super good. But then you could also go with the consistency if you want Rapid Hit as well. Imagine that, Headseeker and Rapid Hit. You're just going to have the most stable pulse rifle ever. This thing is probably going to feel so good, especially if you're a pulse rifle enjoyer. And if you never tried one in the past, I highly recommend you get one of these things, because it's going to feel so good. Next up is Egg Transit. This is a heavy grenade launcher. Heavy grenade launchers really just got nerfed in PvP, but I'm sure it will still be good. I wouldn't really care too much about this one for PvP, but it does get Impulse Amplifier on it and Explosive Light, which are both good perks for PvP. Explosive Light's just kind of nice to help with the blast radius, though you won't get it proc too much. The main one is Impulse Amplifier you really want, but I wouldn't really go too heavy in grinding a PvP one of these. If you get it, cool. If you don't, there's other better guns to get. So the legendary weapon Recluse is finally coming back. This weapon was a menace in PvE and PvP. It didn't matter what content you were playing. This gun was crazy strong. Back in the day, Master of Arms would make it so it would do the same damage to the head and body, and you would do 25, if I remember correctly, with a 900 RPM SMG, and you would just down people so fast. It was super, super strong. But will that be the case for this Recluse? Probably not. 900 rate of fire SMGs aren't in the greatest spot. They're good, don't get me wrong, but definitely the other ones are better. And with the perk selection on this thing, we actually have a few perks to look forward to, but for the most part, there's not a whole lot. In the first column, you're probably going to just want dynamic sway reduction for PvP. And for the second column, you're probably going to want Master of Arms, Tap the Trigger, or Desperate Measures. I don't know how good that last perk is going to be. Desperate Measures is going to be our new perk that they're bringing in with all these weapons. But it seems, overall, from what we've been told, it seems pretty good. Master of Arms, unfortunately, is not going to be as good of a perk as it was back in the day. If I'm not mistaken, they have nerfed it down to only a 15% buff, which is still pretty good, seeing as you can get a kill with any weapon to proc it, but it's definitely not going to be the Recluse we, knew and love. I don't even think this thing will be that crazy for PvE nowadays. Overall, it's a nice feeling SMG, and it will have some pretty good origin traits as well. Next up is Mountaintop. Now, this grenade launcher terrorized the Crucible for a very long time, as well as being very good in PvE. And honestly, because of Recluse and Mountaintop, that's a huge reason that sunsetting was a thing that even happened in the game in the first place, by just how strong these weapons were. Do I think Mountaintop is going to be as crazy as it was back in the day for PvP? Probably not. They said they're nerfing the damage and all that. But I still think it's going to be very, very good. The fact that you can blast somebody with a grenade launcher and probably do at least 100 and 150 damage is still pretty crazy damage potential. And the perks on it are honestly not too bad. You have things such as Demolitionist and Impulse Amplifier in the first column. Impulse Amplifier is probably going to be your main one, which is super strong. And then the second one, nothing super crazy for PvP, but honestly, you have things such as Harmony, which could be pretty good overall, just being able to get extra damage after getting a kill with another weapon, or even Frenzy could make a play. Luna's Howl. Now this is a hand cannon that terrorized the Crucible for a very, very long time, with its brother Not Forgotten. This is a 140 rate of fire hand cannon, but it fires like it's a precision frame, and I think all my controller players, especially out there, are really, really going to like this one. It's a lot easier to handle all of the 180 rate of fire like animation on controller, just because there isn't a whole lot of recoil, and I remember so many people back in the day, especially the controller folks, loved these guns, so I'm sure a lot of you are really happy to have this back. Will it be as lethal as it was back in the day? No, definitely not, but I still think it's going to be a fantastic pick. It's got some great perks in the first column with Eye of the Storm, Encore, Slide Shot, and Heal Clip isn't even bad. My personal pick would be Slide Shot, but overall, lots of good perks there. And then in the next column, we have Magnificent Howl, Opening Shot. I don't know how Precision Instrument is going to act on 140s, but from what I've heard from the grapevine, apparently it's supposed to be pretty good. Don't quote me on that. If you get one, be sure to try it out. I'm looking forward to trying it out. It's kind of unfortunate we didn't get Not Forgotten back, but Bungie said they were maybe thinking about re-releasing that one at some point too. Not Forgotten just has a lot more range, while Luna's Howl has a lot more stability, where with these hand cannons, we don't really need a lot of stability, but I still think this will be a top 140 hand cannon, like I said, especially for them controller players out there. Forbearance is the first gun we're going to be talking about today. You get this one from Vow of the Scythe currently, but with the new perk refresh, it actually does give it some benefits to PvP instead of just a PvE gun. In the first column, it actually will have Disruption Break, which is really, really strong on waveframe grenade launchers because it's super easy to hit people with it and it immediately will break their shields, making it so you can, chunk them with your kinetic weapon. Unfortunately, the next column doesn't really have anything that great. Wellspring's probably your best option here for PvP. A lot of damage perks, but for the most part, you're not going to be really taking people out with your grenade launcher. You're going to be priming them. So having something like Golden Trigorn, One for All, Rampage, or the new perk Desperate Measures doesn't really matter a whole lot. So I'd say if you're using it for PvP, Wellspring or Chain Reaction, I guess, would probably be your picks. I think there's better grenade launchers, but Forbearance is there. Next up is Succession. This is a sniper rifle you currently get from Deepstone Crypt. It's a high impact frame. Overall, it's an okay sniper for PvP. I do think there are better ones. This one actually does have some pretty good perks with Moving Target and Firmly Planted, as well as Discord in the first column. And then in the second column, it actually has Snapshot. So overall, actually some pretty good PvP perks. So if you enjoy this sniper, you can get an overall good one for PvP. I think there are still better snipers, but it is in the kinetic slot, so there's a little less competition there, but overall pretty good. Next up is Falling Guillotine. Now this is a vortex frame sword. Obviously it is heavy, so it's not going to be the most important to get for PvP, but it does have some plays. In the first column you have a perk such as Chain Reaction, which can be okay for some chip damage, maybe you can make for some cool clips. But then in the second column, you have Eager Edge, which is the big one. Eager Edge makes swords actually somewhat competitive in PvP, seeing as you get lots of ammo with a sword, and you can actually close the gap really, really fast with Eager Edge. Because it is a vortex frame sword, it can make some plays to take out some supers. So overall, it's not a bad pick, just not my preferred one. And because it is heavy, it's just kind of whatever. But I look forward to trying this one out and seeing how it works for PvP. Should be pretty fun. Hammerhead is finally returning to us. This is a 450 rate of fire machine gun. And I love this thing. This thing feels so good. It is by far my favorite LMG in the entire game for PvP. This machine gun just feels so good. You know, there are certain guns that just like feel really good and are just amazing to use. That's Hammerhead. It's not like the stat package is nothing like super crazy. As long as they don't change the feel of this gun, I personally believe it's probably going to be the best LMG for PvP. And it's got some pretty good perks on it too. You got damage perks with Rampage. Fourth Time the Charm's actually pretty good in PvP because it will help you get more ammo back so you can, you know, get more kills with it. In the second column, you have things such as Desperate Measures, Tap the Trigger, Killing Tally, High Impact Reserves. All of those can be pretty good for PvP. And overall, I think this is going to be a fantastic LMG for quick play or trials, whatever you may be, just because of the feel of it, and the perk pool is actually really, really good on this thing. I really recommend going out and getting a Hammerhead, especially if you're an avid LMG enjoyer. Elsie's Rifle. Now, this is a weapon I am thoroughly looking forward to. I am an avid No Time to Explain enjoyer, and as long as this one even feels half as good as No Time does, I'm here for it. It goes in the energy slot, which is great just because there aren't a whole lot of pulse rifles in that slot, in my honest opinion, that are super good. And this thing is going to be top tier for a pulse rifle, judging by the perks. In the first column, you have things such as Zen Moment and Keep Away, so two of the top consistency perks in the entire game, as well as in the fourth column, it's going to have Head Seeker, Desperado, or Kill Clip. So two fantastic kill chaining perks, as well as Head Seeker, the best consistency perk in the game for pulse rifles. This thing is going to go crazy. I cannot wait to get this thing on any bigger or medium-sized map. This thing is going to be so strong. Do I think it's going to be as good as No Time? Probably not, just because No Time's time slip perk is stupid, if I'm being honest. But as long, like I said, as long as this thing feels even a little bit like No Time, I'm here for it. I cannot wait to give this thing a shot. So that's it. Those are all the guns that are coming out with the new update. If you want my bucket list of the guns I'm going to be really trying to focus on getting, it's definitely a good Elsie's Rifle, a good Hung Jury, a Midnight Coup, a Luna's Howl, and a Hammerhead. I think those are all going to be really top of the meta picks in their respected field. I think the other ones will be good to get, but for the most part, those are definitely the top of the top, in my honest opinion. If you did enjoy the video, please remember to like and subscribe, as it does help out with the channel a lot. Thank you so much, and have a good day.